Hello, and thank you for watching my little video here on finding a fraction of a fraction. This is something that we went over in class, but we're gonna just kind of walk through a couple more examples to refresh your memory and hopefully help you make more sense of this. And obviously you can pause it and rewind it as much as you need to help you better understand it. If you have pencil and paper or pen and paper even to kind of follow along, that would be probably a good idea, but I'm not going to obviously force you. And we're going to start with this example of 1/3 of 1/4. This here, this box, that's going to be our 1/2. So just to have a visual representation of what we're looking at. And we're going to approach this the same way that we did in class. So kind of follow along. Again, pause if you need to. I'll try not to go too fast, but it's hard to, keep yourself in check. Well, and like I mentioned, I like to start with the second fraction, because if you're going to find a fraction of something, you kind of need to know what that something is. So let's make 1/4, I should say. And it doesn't matter which way you go. I'm going to go vertically. You can go horizontally. I'm just going to go one way. And we're going to use that idea of hatching again, where we kind of just use those diagonal lines to quickly shade in. So there is my 1/4. And now I'm going to find 1/3. And again, we want to go the opposite direction. So I did 1/4 vertically, up and down. So now I'm going to do 1/3 horizontally. So make my thirds, estimate them as best I can. They don't have to be perfect. And just like I made the fraction line the opposite direction, I want to hatch my third in the opposite direction as well. So I'm going to kind of go in the opposite direction. And what I'm looking for is that section or sections where there is both lines overlapping, or both lines are crosshatched. And that is this section right here, which is only one of them. And there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. So there are 12 total sections. So 1/3 of 1/4 is 1/12. Okay, so let's look at another example. I'm gonna give myself another 1/2 over here. So let's do, 1/5 of, let's do 2/3 this time. So 1/5 of 2/3. Again, I'd like to start with a second fraction, so we'll make our thirds first. So there are my thirds. And I need two of them this time because it's 2/3, obviously. So there's 1/3, and there's 2/3. And now I'm going to find fifths. So I'm going to go the opposite direction again. And fifths aren't the easiest to draw, but do it a few times and you kind of get the hang of it. Again, they don't have to be perfect. So 1/5, I can go in the opposite direction and do the same thing with your hatching. So there is my 1/5 hatched, and I'm looking for that cross hatch, or those cross hatched sections, and there are two of them this time right there. So 1/5 of 2/3 is 2 out of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. So 1/5 of 2/3 is 2/15. And so there are a couple examples, and let me kind of clean this up a little bit. I'm going to erase what we have. I'll just kind of rewrite them numerically, just the numbers. So we had 1/4 of 1/3, and then what was it? 1/5 of 2/3. And like we talk about a lot in class, we want to look for patterns, and hopefully you remembered the pattern, but maybe you'll remember it once we kind of see it. Look at the numerators and the denominators. And there's definitely something going on there. You know, those numbers are definitely connected in a very important and specific way. Do you remember what it is? Yeah, they're being multiplied, aren't they? 1 times 1 is 1, 4 times 3 is 12, and down here 1 times 2 is 2, 5 times 3 is 15. So when we find a fraction of a fraction, we are just multiplying them. And it kind of goes along with that idea of groups when we're doing normal multiplication with whole numbers. You know, 5 groups of 4 is 20. It's just a little different because we're using fractions. So I'm going to give you one more here. Let's do 1/3 of 2/3. And if you follow that pattern, 1 times 2 is 2, and 3 times 3 is 9. And if you're not sure, if you ever kind of just want to double check, making that visual is always a great idea. So if we find our 2/3 to start, and then we make 1/3, again, go in the opposite direction, we have 2 sections out of 9 total sections. So there is your visual proof of what is really happening. So there is a quick little tutorial, a little refresher on finding fractions of a fraction, and I really appreciate you watching.